What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Speed to Dominate podcast. I'm your host, Coach Harper, and like always, we're going to jump into some great information today. And today we're going to be talking about why any kid can get faster and why genetics don't matter. Why any kid can get faster and why genetics don't matter. Okay, now let me ask you guys a question real quick, right? So, how many of you have heard or thought that your kid can't get faster if they weren't born with speed, right? If your kids weren't born with speed, they can't get faster. And you always hear speed is genetic. Speed is genetic. Okay, I know a lot of you have heard that, and it's a hot debate, and people still debate over it. If I were to make a post on Instagram right now, and I were to say speed is not genetic, I would get people from all walks of life saying, yes, it is. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It'll be a huge debate because it's still a huge debate today. And I kind of want to tell you where that comes from. And I want to explain to you why it isn't that way, and why it's actually kind of relative. So, the way that people are saying it is like it is, but it isn't. And I'll explain it to you because it's kind of complicated. But here's the bold truth, all right? Your kid not being born with speed is not the reason that they're not getting faster, okay? That is not the reason that they're not getting faster, all right? Speed isn't a gift that you're born with. It is actually a skill that can be trained. Now, I know you've heard, hey, you can't train speed. Speed can't be coached. It's just genetic. It is what it is. And kids, either they got it or they don't. All right. That can't be further from the truth. Now, I'll tell you where that comes from. And I'll kind of give you an example of how it worked for one of the kids that I was working with. All right. And it works for pretty much all the kids that I work with when I have kids, because I like to take kids that are like underdogs. I don't like to take the kids that are already fast and we just got to tweak a few things and then boom, they're world class. I want to take a kid from relatively, moderate to we don't have it at all to moderate to good, right? To great to excellent to elite, right? That's what I like to do. I've been doing that when I was coaching in track. I had a kid as a freshman. He started when he first started, he was just, a freshman, and, he got swallowed up by all of the upperclassmen. But then by the time he was a senior, he was one of the best in the whole city, right? And in the region. So let me kind of just explain kind of like where that comes from. Then I'll give you an example. All right. So here's the thing. Without getting too technical, without getting into all of the jargon of everything, here's the thing, guys. Where this comes from is this thing called fast twitch muscles. Okay, you've got fast twitch muscles. You have slow twitch muscles. Okay, and there are kids that are born with fast twitch muscles. Okay. There are kids that are born with those fast twitch muscles. So they have enough fast twitch muscles to generate speed without a lot of training. Okay. Or, that what we call raw speed, right? So there are kids that have that raw speed and they were born with it, right? And then there's kids that weren't born with the fast twitch muscles or as many fast twitch muscles as some other kids are. And so that's why you get the discrepancies in speed. And so that's where the myth comes from. Oh, they were born with speed. They got it. They weren't born with speed. They don't have it. Right. But here's the thing. And here's what science has proved to us and science has shown to us is that when you are born, even if you have slow twitch muscles, those slow twitch muscles can be converted into fast twitch muscles depending on the type of training that they get. And so you have to know what type of training that they need to get. Okay. So if you know what to do, if you know how to train them, then they will be able to turn those slow twitch muscles into fast twitch muscles. And again, science has shown us, they have done studies, there's been research to support this, and we have everything that we need to know about this situation, and that's why when you get slow twitch muscles with kids with slow twitch muscles, you can train them to go faster. So it's actually trainable. Okay, this is actually trainable. All right. So I was just looking up something here because I wanted you guys to see where this stuff is coming from. There's different muscle fiber types, and you can also go do your Googles, like my friend said. Do your Googles, Google it up, look at it. It literally does tell you how slow twitch muscles can be changed into fast twitch muscles. So that's where the myth comes in. It's kind of like one of those misinterpretations. It's kind of like the Bible. You know how people like read Bible verses and they interpret it one way, and it's really interpreted a different way because you haven't looked up the words and what they mean and what they was using the words at that time period. So it's kind of like that. So it's been misinterpreted to say if a kid was born with fast twitch muscles. So what they're really saying is if a kid was born with fast twitch muscles, then they are born with raw talent, raw speed. And a kid who wasn't born with fast twitch muscles, hey, they don't have it, right? But what they don't know is that those muscles can be converted. And so that's what we do here. That's what I teach. And we get it done, and we get it done very, very, very efficiently. Okay. As a matter of fact, I had a girl on my track team this past year, and when she came to me, she's like, when I do my track teams and things like that, or even if I'm on a track team, I always say, I always like to build. I like to take something from nothing and build it into something, right? Not saying that the kids are nothing. I'm just saying, in terms of speed, they don't have the speed, and we're going to build them up until they can get the speed. So I love the challenge. It makes it fun for me. Having a kid that can dominate already without the training is not really that much fun, but I can do it, and we can get them to dominate, and we can then get them to just obliterate, him or her, obliterate the competition. But I had a girl that came in, and she's one of the type of kids that if she would have went to her high school and ran track at her high school, she would be one of those kids that we just give her a jersey, let her run, and then, when championship season comes, and we'll say, okay, you're done, and we'll take the jersey back, right? It's one of those kids where, like, I don't think that you would even make the team. If we were having tryouts, you probably wouldn't make the team. And if, like, when I was at the first high school that I coached at, we didn't have tryouts. We took everybody, and they would kind of, like cut themselves if they would quit. Basically, they would quit because they couldn't handle the workouts, and they just wanted to be a part of something and wear a jersey, right? We get that a lot in football too, but that's another topic for another time. So anyway, so I had her, and we started working with her, and I knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, right? She was out to run track because her friend was running track, and her friend was actually pretty good. She's pretty swift, decent runner. We got to work with her, and she'll get better. Both of them freshmen in high school. So I run a youth track club. So this was outside of the high school sports, and so started working with her. Go through my time trials, trying to figure out where she was going to be. Kind of figured she'd probably have to move up to long distance, but she actually showed me something and showed me a little bit of a spark in her time trial. So I said, oh, you actually may not have to go up to 1,500, 3,200, right? 2 miles, for those who don't know. So I said, okay, cool. So where I'm going to work you at is in the longer sprints to mid distance. So we're looking at 400, 800, right? So I said in my mind, I was like, okay, she's going to be at 800. If she runs the 800, she'll actually probably be pretty good. She'll probably be coming in there and be able to compete a little bit. And as I started working her out, I started to realize, of course, with 1 week 2 weeks before the first meet, I realized that, hey, you're not going to be able to run an 800. You're not ready for an 800 yet. So we're going to just run you in the 400. We're going to run you in the 200 just for a little bit of speed work, just to kind of work that in. And so that'll be your thing for the next 2 meets. And then we're going to get you ready for this 800. All right. Or we're going to get you ready for this 800 in these 2 to 3 weeks. And so I put her out there. We started working for the 800, 400 type deal. And one of the things that I've noticed in her when one of the days at practice, I noticed that when she ran, her knees kind of went in and her legs kind of flipped out. And it was kind of weird. And I'm like, are you doing that on purpose? And she was like, no, that's just how I run. And so I said, okay. So I'm like, and I've always noticed these gait issues or these issues with the kids when they walk or run. And I would always contact the parent. So I called a parent and I said, this is what happens when she runs. I almost said her name there. I didn't want to say her name. But when she runs and she says, oh, she had, this issue or that issue. And I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Okay, so cool. Now I know how to train you. So we went back to the drawing board, right? Now, this kid, let's just say her 400, she's a freshman in high school. So a freshman in high school, if a freshman girl in high school, if she's running about, anywhere between, well, I'll go into where it would be really good to about, hey, this is decent, you can help us out. If a freshman girl could run anywhere really good would be around, let's say 58, 59 seconds. That's really good for them. Down to about 106, 105-ish. If you're in that range, you can help if you're at the 105 range, you could probably help somebody out. If you're in the 59, 58, you're definitely helping people out. You're probably on the 4x4, right? You're probably on that 4x4 relay team, okay? And so when I just want to give you perspective, because when she came in, she was running 139, okay? All right, well outside. So I just wanted to give you a perspective so you can see, okay, this kid wasn't even on the brink of helping a team out, right? She was running 139 in the 400. So we went to work, okay? She's a kid that was not born with the speed. She wasn't born with those fast twitch muscles. So what we had to do is we had to train, we had to work, had to get those fast twitch muscles to start firing off. And as we trained, as we worked, she went from 139 to 115 in a matter of, 3 to 4 weeks. 139 to 115 in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. Now, I will say this because I know that people are they're going to be in the comments saying, hey, you know this, you know that. I'm going to get the track police in, right? We used to call them the pressure washing police when I was doing a pressure washing. But anyway, so I know that 400 has a aerobic component to it, meaning that the conditioning of the person can determine them going faster, all right? If you get tired early, of course, you're going to slow down. Most kids do. If you don't get as tired, then you can go faster for longer. So I do understand that. So part of that was the aerobic part of it. The other part of it, where it comes down to actual speed and stuff, that actually comes in, all right? So there were both parts. So I do want to preface this with that, so people don't think, oh man, you just got her tremendously fast, right? Part of it was that. Yeah, part of it was that. A vast majority of it was that. When I'm telling you a vast majority of it was that, a vast majority of it. It was probably about 80 to 85% of firing off those getting those slow twitch muscles to fire off faster. And the other, 15 to 20% of it was aerobic. Okay. We had to get her to generate speed. So we started doing the workouts. We started getting her to those fast twitch muscles to start firing off. We generated her speed. She went from 139 to 115 in a matter of 3 to 3 to 4 weeks. All right. She got to 115, and then she kind of set in between that 115, 114.8, 114.9 range until the end of the season. Part of that was because she missed a couple of practices, with that, and it's club, and we started getting to later into the year for school, and so she started having to do all these extra things, proms or junior proms and all those other different type of things. So those things got in the way. I'm not too worried about it because it's club. It's not a high school. It's club track, and so we're not really worried about that. But that is what we were able to do with her in that short period of time. And what I told her parents is I want her to come back. She comes back. We get her down from 115 to 105, 103, 104, 103, 102, something like that. Then I'm going to send her to the high school. So that's the whole thing for me, for my group. I want to bring them through here. I want to get them ready, and then I want to send them to their high school, okay? So we want to send them to the high school where they can actually help the high school. So she'll be able to come in this year, work, and I'll be able to send her to high school, all right? And that's the whole thing. If I do that, then I've succeeded, all right? It's not always about winning national championships. It's not always about being, elite. It's about getting the kid from where they are to where they're trying to go, or getting them from where they are to even better, so they can go and they can be a help in another place. That's what the goal of my track team is. So that's what we're doing. And so if your kid isn't running as fast as if your kid isn't running fast and you just feel like they're slow, don't blame it on genetics, because genetics is not the problem, okay? So here's the thing. I know that you as a parent or you as a coach, you're out there, you're doing the workouts, you're going on YouTube, you're finding the things to do, you're implementing, you are doing the work. Your kids are out there, they're doing the work, they're working hard, they're doing all the things that you're telling them to do. You're looking up the stuff, you're reading, magazines, you're reading online blogs and things, and you're trying to find the right things to do, and you're doing all of the right things. Let me tell you, you're doing the right things. Let me tell you. And you're probably asking yourself, well, if I'm doing all the right things, then why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Well, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because your kid doesn't have what it takes. It's not because they're not just genetically born with they're not, it's not genetics, right? The truth is this. The truth is your kid isn't cursed with the quote unquote slow gene, right? They weren't cursed with the slow gene. The problem is they just don't know how to simply run properly. And I know that may sound crazy. Like, how does that relate? How does running properly relate to speed and firing off fast twitch muscles? I'll tell you how. Okay. So if first things first though, if mechanics are wrong, no amount of sled pulls, uphill runs, cone drills, any of those things, none of those things is going to make them faster. All right. If they're running improperly, none of the things going to make them run faster. It's not going to work. That's why you're having the problems. That is one of the reasons why we had to take the girl that I was working with. I'm gonna say her name again. The girl that I was working with in my track team, and we had to work on her mechanics. All right. Now I'm mechanics heavy anyway, so we were working on them in the beginning of the season all the way. We work on the mechanics every single day. Every single day we have practice, I should say. And one of the things I wasn't doing with her was really pinpointing all of her problems. We were just kind of going through the things, and I had to say, look, I got to stop, and I got to take her, and we got to break everything down and take her back through the basics. And we did that. Once we did that, it became way easier for her to run. And that's where some of the aerobic part comes in, because when you're using less energy, you can conserve more energy for the actual race. You don't want to use the energy for your race in actually trying to run properly. You're losing it here when you can conserve that energy and use the correct mechanics. And now you have more, you're using less energy output for you to actually move, And so now you can put that energy into actually moving faster, if that makes sense. Okay. It's not magic, guys. It's it's not magic here. Okay. All right. So if you're doing that, guys, there's no amount of sleds, parachutes, all of the things, right? That's going to help your kid get faster if they don't know how to run properly. So mechanics is the huge thing. All right. So there's 4 secrets to speed that ignore genetics. Okay. There's 4 secrets to speed that ignore genetics. I'm going to give you these 4 right here, right now. And the first one is proper arm swing. Okay. Arms control the rhythm and the power. Now, a lot of kids, they swing their arms out. And when they swing their arms out, what's going to happen is their shoulders are going to start to turn. And when their shoulders start to turn, they start taking steps out. This right here is going to be the very first thing that they need to work on so they stop leaking power. All right? They stop leaking energy. All right? They need to conserve that energy. So we need to get rid of the wasted movements, because the wasted movements are going to slow them down. And the reason why it slows them down, again, what we talked about, is they're going to use more of that energy that they have built up to literally just swing their arms. And they're using wasted movements. Those wasted movements are going to take away from the power. So we lessen the wasted movements. Their power to actually move their body goes down, and now they can use that extra energy to put into the race, or put into the sprint, or put into the distance that they're going, right? So even if you're a baseball player and you're going from home to first base, you use a lot of energy if your arms are swinging crazy like this. You're doing all of this. That's too much, all right? We need to conserve that energy by using the correct arm swing, all right? Now, number 2 is the proper body position, okay? A lot of kids, when they run, they are leaning forward the entire time that they run. And when they lean forward the entire time that they run, then they're not able to get to the next gear. Every kid has that next gear. Every kid, every person, regardless of whether they were born with fast twitch muscles or born with slow twitch muscles, they have the second level of speed. And they can get to it if they come out of that leaning forward the entire time. Now, leaning forward when you first start, I'm talking about a heavy lean. I'm not talking about slight lean forward. I'm talking about a heavy lean forward trying to go faster, all right, where all of their legs are behind them. It's okay when you first start, within reason, within the mechanics of it. That's another topic, okay? But it's okay when they first start. Then they need to come up out of that, right? So they can get max velocity. So if they ignore that, then you're going to have stumbling starts. Then you're not going to be able to get to their top speed. Okay? So there's a difference between acceleration speed and then top speed. You can accelerate fast, and then you got to stand up so you can get to the top speed. Okay? So the proper body position for them for sprinting is very, 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 very important for them to hit that second level of speed, get into second gear, and start taking their speed to another level. I see this over and over and over and over with young athletes, and it pains me to see them. And I'm like, man, I'll see them running. I'm like, man, they need to stand up. And I see myself coaching. I'm always coaching, even when I'm like watching like sports, like I'm watching kids sports, basketball, or if I'm watching my son's football team, and I'm like, man, that kid needs to stand up. Or I'm watching TV, I'm like, oh, they need to stand up. Oh, they need to do this. They need to fix their arm swing, right? I'm doing that. I'm like, ooh, they run so bad. If they just fix the way that they run, man, they would be so much faster. It is mind-boggling, okay? It is mind-boggling how much faster they would be. And this is like the foundation of it. If we fix this, they immediately get faster. And then the crazy part is this doesn't even work. This doesn't even work on the fast, slow twitch muscles. It just literally helps them create the better power output so that they can go faster. And then we start working on the fast twitch muscles. And that's kind of what you guys are doing when you're doing your lifting, when you're doing your sleds and you're doing your uphill runs and you're doing your cone drills and all of the things that you learned, that stuff is kind of working on the fast twitch muscle. Now, it's not just limited to that. It's not just something you can just say, oh, we're just gonna do uphill runs. That's gonna be the thing. That will help, but there's some other things that you have to do, and we don't have time to get into that. But those are things that I know that we've been studying, that we've been doing for the last 16 years. And if you want to fix that, then there's a link down below in the description for my virtual speed accelerator program. You can apply to that. We don't take everybody. We take a select few of people, because we want the people who are actually the kids that are going to actually come in, that's going to actually do the work. And these kids, they get faster in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we're talking about seconds. And in shorter distance, we're talking about tenths of seconds in shorter distance, like 5 and 6 tenths of seconds in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's huge. If you think like if we get 5 tenths of a second from someone running a 40-yard dash, that's literally going from 5 flat to 4.5. And these things actually happen. So I've got that down below in the link in the description. The virtual a speed accelerator program. It's an amazing program. I advise you to jump in there and do the application for that. All right. Brings me to number 3. The third secret is proper knee drive. Okay. With more high knees, you get more force into the ground. Okay. In case you don't know, let me break it down for you. If you want your kid to go faster, the more force that they can put into the ground, the faster they can go. All right. Why? Because of this thing called ground reaction force. That's why it's called that. It means whatever force you give the ground is going to give you that same force back in the opposite direction. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we get into the next one, the fourth secret. But just know for right now, if our knees come up high enough, we cover more ground, we use less effort, we're able to put more force into the ground. Okay? That is a recipe for speed. That's literally a recipe for speed. So if we have short strides when we're starting to run, it's going to be less explosive. We need that explosiveness to help push us through to go faster. All right. So that brings me to number 4, which is probably the most important one outside of the arm swing. All of them are important. But one of the ones that I get the most, this last one is the one that I typically get the most, is foot placement. Kids learning how to put their foot on the ground correctly. A lot of kids, they run flat-footed. They land with their foot flat. A lot of kids, they land with their heels first. And they're wondering why they're not faster. Why are they not faster when they do that? Here's 2 problems that they're having with these 2 things. Number 1, it can cause injuries to the ankles, to the knees, to the hips. Okay? If they run improperly, with their feet land flat-footed or on their heels, it can cause issues. Legs, knees, hips, ankles, shins. Okay? They're going to get themselves hurt. Okay? Bottom line. The other reason is because of ground reaction force, which we just talked about just a few minutes ago or a minute ago, is the force that you put in the ground's going to give you that same force back in the opposite direction. So if you're landing flat-footed, remember, you land flat-footed, you're putting force straight down into the ground with your flat foot. The ground is giving you force straight back up, right? Which doesn't help us if we're trying to go forward, right? It works for us if we're a jumper, right? If you're trying to jump, you want to put as much force into the ground as you can going down, because you want the force to push you back up into the air, right? So the more force we put in the ground, the higher we can go as far as jumping. So that's one. If you land on their heels, they're putting force into the ground forward in front of them, and then the ground is giving them force back into their body. So you can't beat the forces of nature. We already know that. And so the more force you put in the ground going forward, the more force is going to push back into your body. And so now it's literally you're putting on the brakes every single time that they take a step. All right. So we don't want them to land flat-footed. We don't want them to land on their heels, okay? Because this is going to literally slow them down with every single step is putting on the brakes, right? We don't want that. And so what we need to do is we need to run efficiently. We need to put force into the ground going behind us, so now the ground forces them forward. Okay, does that make sense? It should make sense to everybody. I talk like that because I'm a teacher, and so I always ask questions. Does that make sense? Right? So I used to be a teacher, I should say. I'm still teaching. I'm just teaching in a different way. All right. So that's the thing. The reason why most kids land on their heels is because they are overstriding. That means they're putting too much. They're reaching out with their foot too far, and their foot is landing out in front of their body instead of up under their body, right up under the hip like it's supposed to. Again, these are things that we know that we can walk you through. We don't have time here on this podcast to go through all of that stuff. But those are the 4 things. All right, so let's go over those 4 things again. Let's recap. 4 secrets to speed that ignore genetics, okay? These things can get your kid faster, and you don't have to worry about genetics. You don't have to leave the backyard. You're not going to have to go do a bunch of a long training. You don't have to go out and train for 2 hours to get this done. You don't in fact, the kids that we train, we only train them for about 15 to 20 minutes on this thing 3 times a week, and we fix these things. Boom, they start running faster, and genetics has nothing to do with it. It is all physics. It is all physics. Once they learn how to do these things, guys, they will start running faster. Genetics has absolutely nothing to do with it. All right, they'll start running faster, and they will surprise even themselves, and they'll definitely surprise you. All right, so here's the transformation. All right, so here's the 4 things. 4 things. Number 1, proper arm swing. Number 2, proper body position. Number 3, proper knee drive, and then number 4, proper foot placement. Okay. Now, when you teach kids to run properly, the game will change for them. Like I was just saying, the game will change for them. All right. They gain speed without hours of extra training. Okay. They're going to build their confidence. That's the biggest thing. They're going to start building their confidence. They're going to get the confidence to go out and make more plays. All right. They're going to get the confidence to go out and make more plays. It's going to increase their agility, and it's also going to increase their coordination, their body coordination, because let's face it, if you don't know how to run properly, that means you're not using your body properly. So that means you are not coordinated. So once you learn how to run properly, you start to move your body properly, and now you are way more coordinated. And so now it's okay for you to start going out and doing all of the extra training, the sleds, all of those things, getting a football trainer or getting a basketball trainer or getting a tennis trainer or whatever, sport specific trainers for after that. So speed, mechanics first, speed, then trainers, then sport-specific trainers. I promise you guys, it will do wonders. All right? They're going to build confidence. They're going to build confidence in their coaches. That means they're going to get more playing time. More playing time, making more plays. You're going to start seeing them winning more awards, like MVP, Player of the Week, right? All conference, right? It all starts with teaching them how to run properly so they can start running faster, okay? So, guys, if you want to fix this, I want to invite you to apply for my virtual speed accelerator program, where I'm going to do this for your athlete. I'm going to help them do this. They'll be training with me. I'm going to work on all of this stuff for them so you don't have to think about it. And literally, with this program, you don't even have to show up for them. They can go right in the backyard. And the way we do it, they can do it directly with me, and I'll help them out. I'll write all their plans, so you don't have to think about it. No more searching on YouTube. No more. Still search for me on YouTube though. Don't forget about me. All right, so no more searching on YouTube. No more reading blogs. No more reading articles. You got somebody who's been doing this for 16 years that will take care of it and do it for you. All right, do it for you. So I'll go down below in the description. There is a link to apply for the Virtual Speed Accelerator program. Spots are limited. Okay. And I don't work with everybody. I only work with a select few because I want the serious athlete The parent who is serious about getting their kid to the next level, the kid wants to go to the next level. The kid is a self-starter. The kid loves to go out and train. Kid wants to get or express that they want to get better, and they're ready to train and ready to do the work to do it. That's the type of kid that I'm looking for. So when you do the application, you're going to get a call, and on the call, we're going to be asking you a few questions just to make sure that you guys are a good fit. And if you are a good fit, then boom, we offer you a chance to offer you a spot in the program. It's extremely limited. And we keep the number small so we can get to everybody. This is not a money grab for us. This is something for where we're actually here to help your child. Okay. We actually want to help your child, and we want to make sure that they get what they need so they can be successful in whatever they're trying to do as far as their sport is concerned. All right. So go down in the description, click the link, get in there. All right. So cool, guys. That is today's podcast. Man, I'm so glad you stuck around. So glad that you're here. Do all the things. If you're only watching us on YouTube, hit the like button, share the video. That's pretty much what I want you to do. You can subscribe, you can like, all that stuff. What I want you to do, I want you to just share this video with some more people and have them share it with more people, because when we get this information out there, then everybody wins. Okay. So with that being said, man, have an amazing day. Thank you for coming in. Remember that everything you do today affects your future. So remember tomorrow. I haven't said that in a long time. So remember tomorrow, and I will talk